It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
Yes, indeed. We are here, and welcome to another show of your Patio Side Chats right here on KSMA 1240. Happy to be here today. Today I've got another really great topic. This is something that I think we should all be thinking about. And you know, if you're not a designer by trade, that's exactly what this show is for, to kind of put you in that mindset, put you in that mental frame of when you go home to your house, when you're looking around your yard, if you're designing a new area, if you haven't even thought about your landscape or your landscape design, I want you to really walk around the entire yard, all the areas. I want to go over, basically the whole show is going to be on designing and how things should feel. Because it doesn't really matter what the things are as much as how it feels. So we're going to call this show Design by Feelings. And so that's my favorite question to ask a potential client, or even once we get a job and we're going and we're starting in the job. It's like, how do you want it to feel anywhere when you're coming home, when you're coming up the entry, you know, when you're walking out onto the back patio, you're walking around the sides of the homes, the feeling of how something feels and how it just flows is the most important thing. You know, the nuts and bolts, most important thing is the grading and the drainage to make sure that all gets taken care of and there's no water going and there's no erosion, you know, of soils. But, you know, when it comes down to it, if you looked at your yard as, you know, kind of this canvas, as long as the grading and drainage is correct, everything else that you use, all the other products, whether it's, you know, even comes to driveways, you know, pavers, concrete, whatever, retaining walls, plants, sod, you know, lights, water features, outdoor kitchens, all those things that we can do to backyards to make them what we want them to be, to really, you know, lift up our lifestyle, essentially. And that's why I love talking about it, because it's kind of this landscaping lifestyle that I want to live. I want everyone out there to enjoy, whether you hire us or do it yourself or whatever it is. And so today I wanted to focus on that feeling of how does it all become a cohesive, flowing feel. So, and I wanted to really start about talking about all the different areas of your yard and think of them individually and of course together. But if you break it down into smaller sections of the yard and then, you know, ask yourself, what is the purpose? How do you see yourself using that section? And then, you know, before you finish the design, is how is it going to flow and incorporate it into the other areas? So really think about entries of homes, super important, of course. You know, the obvious front yards, backyards, but don't forget about sides of homes, unused areas that you don't know what to do with, sheds. I mean, there's so many things that, you know, the sheds are huge for storage. I know when we bought our house, my wife and my family, and there was no shed on the property. And I had just a small side of my house. It's maybe 9 feet from the house wall to the fence, which is actually a block wall. So they don't really make sheds that fit in there the size that I needed it to be, because it had to be narrow and really long. So I made a 6 foot wide by 18 foot long shed so that it was custom made for that area, right? So I was able to put a lot of things in there, huge, kind of filled up that whole side, and it created a little nook that all my trash cans would fit. You need about 8-9 feet of, you know, length for your trash cans to kind of fit in there. They're only about 2 feet wide, so it was perfect. Got a little gate on that side. But, you know, as we go look at other homes and potentially move, I'm thinking to myself, okay, where's the shed? You know, where's the access? If we were going to move to another home, how is it going to work like the home I have? And I think a lot about, if you're thinking about buying another house, or moving, and if you're on the market and going to open houses or asking your realtor to whatever take you in to see homes, think about that feeling. And that goes, it's a lot of the things we talk about on the show go across trades. Doesn't really matter what the trade is, interior design, exterior, the same kind of feel for inside of the house. The focus here is outside, of course, but I look at that, I think, where am I going to store things? Where are the dogs going to go? How are the kids going to be able to, are they going to be able to play Frisbee, or, think about what you do. You big, basketball fans or whatever. So that's actually another thing that I wanted to get into a little bit later, but where I want to talk about styles and also times of day. And that's something that I can't do for our clients, is be there at their house in the morning, be there in the afternoon, be there in the evening, or really later at night. Maybe you've gone out and, having a late night out and you're coming home and it's late. How does that feel? What does it look like? What can you do to continue that feel throughout the day? So it doesn't really matter what time of day it is, that you feel safe, you feel secure, it feels welcoming, and everything's functional and looks good as well. So you can put in all kinds of wonderful, crazy ideas, or like we were talking about, all these features and things. But if they don't flow, if it doesn't feel right, if it feels choppy, if things feel blocked, if you don't feel relaxed, it can kind of defeat the purpose. So big deal here. This topic is really thinking about how all these areas feel and thinking about that design. Even if you already have an existing yard and it's already designed, there's little things you can do to help improve that feel, or do things that maybe just didn't think about because you weren't in that frame of mind. So what I was going to say was, when I go to a client's home, I can't be there throughout the day. So if you're getting some work done, or if you're doing a project, really, and watch the sun while you're doing it. So you're walking around early morning. Where's the sun coming in? And people who know me know I love photography, and it's kind of like the same thing. It's all about light, and you're looking for light. Where does the light come in? What color is the light? How does it look? How does it feel? So it's kind of similar. Design goes across so many different genres. But think about, where would you sit? And I'm thinking, like, for instance, like, okay, early morning, you might have a spot that feels really good out in the yard, and you want to sit there. But maybe it's not the most inviting, most friendly thing, or maybe there's bushes in the way or something, and you can, for instance, rip some bushes out, put in a small little seating area, put a nice bench or Adirondack chairs or something, and you create that space. It's really that simple. And, maybe as it becomes afternoon and the sun goes up high and you want to, either lay out and enjoy the sun, or you want shade, you might want a pergola. But you wouldn't want a pergola if you were going to lay out, obviously, So there's some things that make a lot of sense once you start thinking about them, and the decisions of what to do become much easier. And you become more of a designer yourself when you're really thinking about it in those terms. In the evening hours, to me, and I've said it a bunch of times, is dusk. It's my absolute favorite time of day. It's super important, and it's great for feeling awesome, for photography. The wind kind of dies down, the hustle and bustle of the day kind of dies down. Where are you going to go enjoy your yard, and what is it going to feel like? So an easy one for me is fire pits. It's like, oh my goodness, if I think to myself, I go out into my backyard in the evening, and I'm happy that it's not windy. I'm happy that, it's the end of the day. I'm off work, but I'm cold. So it makes sense. Put in a fire pit. Do it in an area where there's enough room for seating around it. And, I like to hear music. So maybe I'll put some outdoor speakers out there, and turn on some soft music, or, have kind of a nice feel. As it starts to get darker, I can't really see anything, and there's some dark corners with some bushes or whatever, and it's just feels strange. I don't know, somebody over there hiding obviously there's most likely not anybody there, but it's that feeling. And so I think, okay, do outdoor lighting, put out some lights. And so I'm giving you examples of how the feelings would drive the projects and what you do, how you do it, and how you look at it. So, I mean, that's really key. And so think about the things that you could do that even if you hired a designer to come in, let's say you got a landscape architect, people pay thousands of dollars for these drawings, designs. The more feedback you can give them as to what you want and how you want it to feel, even if you're not the designer, you're giving them that ammunition that they need, that if they're really listening to you and if they're really good designers. I think every really good designer wants to give the client exactly what they want if they had the knowledge of what to do with design, and not just go through to every house and just everybody's got to have what I think they would want. I'm going to put in a horseshoe pit at your house because I love horseshoes. Makes no sense to me at all. So think about, I would make a list really, because it's a lot. There's a lot of things to think about. If you have kids, make the list of what the kids want to do, or do it for real, like here and now. Like, what do you do? We go out with a wiffle ball and a plastic bat with my son, and, we hit that thing. And so I know I need that space. I would never take out my front lawn, no matter how much they try to tell me I can't water it, or 2 days a week, or whatever the drought comes. I'm not getting rid of that thing. I got the low flow nozzles. I got the smart timer on the clock. We're very efficient on the watering. But it's important to me that when I come home, I know I have that space to play with him. Or if I want to throw the Frisbee with the dogs, my backyard isn't big enough, so I need that area in the front. So it really drives that. And so be firm on your must-haves with a designer and think about it. So, okay, let's say you're into sports and maybe it's golf, and you're working on your putting game. Why not have a little putting green in your backyard? If you're going to have a small lawn in the backyard and you love golf, and who doesn't need help on their putting game, put in a putting green. It'll be fun. You have the same effect, and you can do it with artificial turf. You don't have to water it, don't have to mow it. And so there's an idea. There's a design element, something you're going to use. It's going to feel amazing. You're going to walk out in your backyard and you can get lost like you're on the course somewhere. So that's just one idea, but what if you had dogs where the area that they're going to be able to run, use the restroom, is it going to be right by your back door? Where did that smell? Where do you want that to be? So really consider these things and have, a good plan for them. Now I want to kind of go over all the different sections of the yard briefly, just so that we can kind of think of it together. So it should really start when you're driving home and you're pulling up to your house. Are you like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud and I love my home. And as I'm driving up, it's that first impression. And number one reason, in my opinion, you should do it is for yourself. But if you're planning on selling your home, if you have guests coming over, everybody that sees your house, their first impression is going to be the front yard. And that's it. And the whole the face of the front of the house, or the fascia boards, painted, or they falling apart, or is it, the house itself, the windows, the coverings, the driveway, all the walkways, entries, the sod in good shape, or if there's, is it plants need to be pruned or fertilized, or, whatever it is, cleaned up, is the bark's all faded and gone, weeds. So that first impression sets the tone for the whole property. And so really start there, and then think about when you get out of the car. And I like to think of it in multiple ways. Not only where do I park and go on the driveway, but if someone were to come over to my house, where would they park and how would they walk up, and what does that feel like? And so start with that. Start with the hardscape. It goes first, really. I saw a beautiful home, gorgeous, and little retaining walls in the front, artificial turf, some shrubs, rock, very clean, very low maintenance, well kept. And the driveway was this cracking just mess of old concrete. And it was like, oh my gosh, everything else was done. It looked gorgeous, which is the whole reason why we started doing pavers, because it can be almost a third of the whole front yard. And in this case, it was probably a little bit more, maybe 40% of the front yard was this driveway. So very important. Think about the hardscape. And in my opinion, I would do that first. I'd rather see a really nice driveway with maybe not as nice as shrubs and plants and things on the sides than the opposite. So think about that. The entry, when you walk to the front door, should feel nice and open and airy, spacious. In the evening, it should be well lit. It should be the most lit. If you're doing a front yard lighting system, the most of the light and where you have a lot of the warmth and that welcoming feel should be the entry. Super, super important. The backyard, of course, it's kind of a wide open on design, depending on how you see yourself using it. If you're going to be out there barbecuing, then get yourself a nice little outdoor kitchen. Is it going to be wood burning? Are you going to need gas? Do you need to run electrical? Think about all those kind of things. What kind of style do you want? And I do want to get into that. But think about where storage is going to be. I think everybody needs a shed. Maybe I'm wrong, but sheds are important. Where do they go? Where are the trash cans going to go? How are you going to, every day you use that trash can a lot to take the trash out to the trash, and then once a week rolling it down to the curb. All that needs to feel good. When I first bought my house, I made that shader and I poured that concrete all along that side of the house, and I had a spot for the cans. But previous to that, the only way to get them down was through rocks or go across the grass. And so I poured that was one area for me. I went ahead and poured concrete because it was just, pavers don't go everywhere. I love them, don't get me wrong, but on that edge where the trash cans were going to go, I poured concrete. I outlined it with brick, and I put a couple little brick things through the middle of it to give it a kind of a look. But, it was just functional more than anything else, and that's super important. Things that you use a lot, areas that you, like the front door, areas that you go a lot, that's where you should spend most of your time and money and ideas. But unused areas that you don't think about, or maybe you really don't go down there, even if it looks like you could go down there and enjoy it, or it's clean, it's going to give you a really nice feel. And you don't have to spend a ton of money on them, even just maybe a couple flagstones, stepping stones to get out there, a little bench, or you got sides of homes where you got air conditioning units or something, just maybe a little planter box or even one vine on the fence and clean with rock. It's kind of tough to design those areas, but we've come up with a lot of different ideas over the years, and just make it look like you could use it if you wanted to, even if you never went down there, and it'll give you that feel that we're talking about here. So styles, think about what style you are, what style you would design if you were a designer, and how you want it to feel. Again, I know I keep saying it, but it's super important. Do you want it to feel like a hotel resort? Do you want to feel like you're out at the beach, or tropical feeling? You want it to feel like kind of a Tuscan villa, which our climate is very similar, to Italy and south of France, and we can grow a lot of the same, similar plants. We're not quite Santa Barbara, but we're here on the Central Coast. We can get pretty close with a lot of these things. Do you like cottage style, kind of free form, and a mix of styles? They just call it cottage. Do you want edibles, with raised gardens for, tomatoes or, veggies and whatever you want to do? Do you want fruit trees, maybe a little orchard? So there's so many things and so many styles of what, the sky is the limit, obviously. But if you think about it, the more you know your yard and the more you know where the sun is throughout the day, and the better you can get at that, the better it's going to be. So we'll be right back on the other side of the break. Please remember, if you want to hear this show, if you missed any of it, or if you want to hear any of our other shows, you can always go to our YouTube channel, Chaparral Pavers, and all the shows are listed there. We get them up within a week, of after it's been recorded. So check that out, and you can always catch us on the web at ilovetoComeHome.com. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
You're listening to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on California's Central Coast. Here on 1240 AM and 99.5 FM, KSMA.
This show is brought to you by Airval Block. Concrete paving stones or pavers are not all created equal. Airval Block pavers are created from a dry mix of gravel, sand, cement, and color. With very little water used, they're super strong. They won't crack or fade. And to be an Airval Block paver, the gravel and sand come from right here on the Central Coast, supporting our local community. Airval Block is the only local manufacturer of concrete masonry products like pavers, mortarless retaining wall blocks. Airval Block products are high quality for peace of mind, and there are many colors to choose from. And if you're not sure which products you need or how to use them, you will always get expert advice from the staff at Airval Block. Products made on the Central Coast for the Central Coast. Visit their fully landscaped outdoor showroom to see the many ways you can use Airval Block products at number 1 Suburban Road in San Luis Obispo, or go online at airvalblock.com.
If you're thinking about installing a new paver patio or paver driveway, check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetoComeHome.com. Serving the Central Coast since 2001, Chaparral Pavers will work with you to get it right and complete the job to your specifications, as customer service is king at Chaparral Pavers. Paver driveways are stylish and durable and guaranteed to never crack. If your old concrete driveway or entryway is a hazardous cracking mess, it's time to call Chaparral Pavers. Go to their website, ilovetoComeHome.com. You'll find all the information you need. Check out photographs of past installations and reviews from Central Coast residents who have used Chaparral Pavers. And don't forget, all installations are guaranteed for the life of your home. So check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetoComeHome.com. Chaparral Pavers, they'll make you love to come home. Now, back to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on KSMA.
And we're back. Okay, we are talking about designing by feeling. And what does that mean? Well, as you walk around the yard and really ask yourself, how do I want it to feel? How do I want it to feel when I first drive up to my house, when I park and get out, when I walk up to the entry, when I walk out the back door or side door? How do I want it to feel when I take the trash out? How do I want it to feel when I'm taking the cans, down to the curb? And how do I want, friends and family when they come over to really, do they know where to go to get up? Sometimes there is that case. We've run into it over the years where you're not even sure where to go to the house. I think we've all been to those homes where where's the front door? Do I go this way, that way? It feels, do I want to feel confused when I get home, or my friends and family? I know where to go because I live there, but it's like, I want you to really think about that, and it's huge how things feel. It doesn't, again, it's not all about the things, and there's plenty of them, and I wanted to kind of give you kind of an inside little secret that, we use as designers, and it's this feeling of how it feels when you walk around. I mean, and also when you're trying to get the styles, it's all about features. Features make it. You can do sod and plants and sprinklers and edging and have a nice landscape, back patio, but it's the features that is what changes things. That's where the magic is. You take a back patio that's nice and big and spacious, you put a fire pit in and some sort of fire feature, even a fireplace. It becomes amazing patio. Water features, you get the sound, and that's something that you start accessing some of the other senses besides just sight. You get the warmth from the fire pit, you get the sound from the water feature. It also can mask out traffic noise and things like that. Outdoor lighting, it can look absolutely amazing. I can make an average yard look spectacular in the evening because, again, it's this kind of this feature mentality of during the day, everything's lit by the sun, everything, And so in the evening, you can choose what you want to light, and you can feature things. a tree or cast shadows on a wall or highlight steps, or, you can really add some drama to the landscape. The evening hours of landscape lighting, it's actually one of the best ways and easiest ways to really add drama to a landscaping. Outdoor kitchens, very functional. If you barbecue a lot like I do, oh my gosh, live here on the Central Coast, red oak, tri-tips, ribeyes, oh my gosh. So to me, that's what makes a backyard. I feel amazing when I'm out there barbecuing. You've got the flickering of the flames, the sound of the water feature, the lights coming on. That is just amazing. The feeling is just off the charts. And really, you can customize that for you, like we were talking about, whether it be a putting green, a bocce ball court, or horseshoes, or, whatever suits you and your style, so that your family will go out there and use it. You'll get out there and use it. You can entertain if that's what you want to do, and have space, little areas for people to sit. Nobody wants to all be in one big group. You make a nice fire pit area in one area. You have another little seating area off, maybe in the garden. I love making little pathways through the garden and little kind of hidden seating areas, or you'll have the main patio area. People can be inside. If there's things to do in the front yard, sometimes we'll get those lawn games in my front yard, and we could have lawn games going out in the front. So it's just, and if you need an area for the dogs, when there's guests there, you can have a little, dog run. So all these things play into it when you're thinking about design, thinking about how it feels. And I hope through this show you picked up some ideas or something that will either inspire you or help you. And thanks for listening. So tune in every Saturday right here at 12 o'clock. And again, you can check us out on our YouTube channel, Chaparral Pavers, and you can listen to all the radio shows there if you want to hear more, or if you missed any of this show. And of course, you can always catch us on our website at ilovetoComeHome.com. There's lots of ideas there that you can browse through. We've also got a lot of pictures on house.com, so you can check us out there as well. And, there's so many places now on the internet to get inspired and find out about all these different things. So we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, every Saturday right here at 12 o'clock. See you next time.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetoComeHome.com to find out more, or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.